Chris Gasper, I know you've written a lot about, we don't really have to go behind the scenes to sources. If you listen to Mac Jones's press conferences early in training camp, there were verbal breadcrumbs, your word.
Yep.
So I don't know, Breer said it goes sideways. Florio has talked about friction. I don't know what word you want to use, but I just think it's beyond obvious to me that there's a little bit of a thing there between Mac Jones and the team.
Yeah, I think, difference of opinion, right, about what's the best way to move forward with this offensively. And, Birch talked about this a lot, that Jones is a big why guy. He wants to understand, and Bill's not always, really eager to explain the why, especially to a second-year quarterback. So I think that there is some difference of opinion there in terms of what's the best way to go about this. And also, I think, Mac does have a pretty high opinion of himself. I think back to training camp when he was talking about, I'm a smart guy, Bill's a smart guy, we'll figure this out. And I remember I heard that, and I was like, wow. Okay, you've been in the league for 1 year, and you're saying, I could see if, Aaron Rodgers said that, if Aaron Rodgers with the relax or we'll figure this out, but you're saying, I'm a smart guy, I'll figure this out. I'm like, okay, you feel pretty good about yourself.
But, Mike, I think it translated to another difference of opinion on the surgery, I think.
Well, Mike, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of room for, said there's a thing. There's certainly a thing going on. There's a lot of room for interpretation for what that thing is. Now, I think strife is going too far.
I would agree.
Is there strife between the Patriots and Mac Jones? No. It could be annoyance on both sides. He could be annoyed that everything was going well for him, going into my second year, and now I got to start over again. And they can be annoyed that Mac Jones continues to ask questions. Not that he's a bad guy, but look, why can't you just take it? And, sometimes coaches say this, and I've heard Belichick say this about guys from the Ivy League. He said sometimes guys are too smart.
Oh,
they're too smart. We want smart football players, but just because you are a smart person doesn't make you necessarily smart football players. Stop asking me all these questions. Just go out and do it.
I think Bill values compliance above all.
Thank you. Agreed.
And so Bailey Zappe has a couple of things going in his favor. One, the team is playing well.
Absolutely.
And it's just his.
Well, I would say number one is the schedule.
Yeah, but whatever. Hey, listen, the schedule wasn't always so tough for Mac Jones at times. I mean, the Steelers are not a good team, right?
Yeah, they won that game.
Okay, but I'm saying, Bailey Zappe has played better in his two games than Mac Jones did in the victory that he had.
Two of the worst.
Right? I'm saying with Zappe, they're playing well, and he doesn't have any of that baggage, Mike, where he's got to deal with other coaches.
But back to the thing with Mac Jones. Is it impacting this situation? I think it is on some level. Maybe one of the reasons Bill isn't saying Mac's a starter when he's healthy is because he's in some way, shape, or form putting him in his place or setting a boundary. Again, use whatever words you want to use, but this is, I think, what is going on. It's at play. I don't think it shouldn't keep Mac Jones from returning and taking the job if Bill thinks he's the best guy. But I think there's some tweaking and some back and forth going on here.
One of the questions I have, I still am trying to understand, and I don't know if he was asked this or answered it, but why did Mac go to Cleveland? Was that to help Bailey Zappe, or was it just to sort of, there's part of me that thinks it was basically to force him to sit there and watch as they had success with another quarterback, and also, to get him ready eventually to come back, be part of the sideline operation. But it's very unusual to have a guy that is not going to play. And also, this just isn't any other position. You have a sense, with quarterback, I'm sure to get Zappe to play, it's like, Zappe had to take the first team reps, or at least most of them, right?
Yeah.
In order just to get him ready to play. So it's not like another position. So you know that, and you're still traveling him and still having him sit on the bench.
Seems
weird to me.
Well, I guess the question is that the team's decision to send him to Cleveland, or is that Mac saying, I want to be there for my teammates? Because there is something for a quarterback trying to establish credibility.
But Dard said to us the other day, maybe his teammates, and he said this maybe his teammates encouraged him to be there. Don't let this thing go too far down the tracks, Mac, with Joe Judge and Bailey Zappe, and, there's a Palace Q going on here. This is your team. We're your teammates. Get in here and don't let this thing go too far down the tracks. I don't know. It just goes back to Volan. It annoys me, the pushback on Volan. He might have gotten catfished. I have no idea, but I don't think he's wrong with the general thing that he said.
No, I think a lot of people have heard that general.
I mean, yes, it's all over the place. All right, so this is what I know Gasper feels strongly about this. The Zappe fever, if you will. And there's a lot of metrics to this. We told you about the TV ratings on Sunday, the highest rated 1 p.m. game this year. Okay, it did a higher share than the Brady game last year, if you want to believe that. But there's a lot of polls out there. Here's Jimmy Stewart's.
Big game, James.
5,000 respondents. That's why we use it. It's a big sample. Over 5,000 people voted. And they asked if both are 100%. More fans want Zappe over Jones. That's almost 60-40. Huh. And I know, Chris, this must be interesting from a guy who said at one point Mac Jones is Jag Jones and just a guy. All the pushback that you get.
Yes.
And now, not a year later, fans have flipped. Boy, that's sort of interesting.
Well, it's interesting because I look at that poll, and it's almost as if that poll's putting, I don't know what the word is, a ceiling on Mac Jones and saying that ceiling is below that of Bailey Zappe's.
Wow.
All I heard last year was you can't put a ceiling on this guy. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. Why can't we just enjoy Mac Jones? We don't know how good he's going to be. We need a larger sample size. Apparently, the sample size you need for Bailey Zappe to determine he's better than Mac Jones, who was the guy last year, is 2+ games. And the 2 starts against 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL, and already you're ready to throw Mac Jones overboard when it was, well, we don't know what he is. He could be a franchise quarterback. Already you've decided he's not, and the other guy is. That's fascinating to me.
So what did he play? Mac played, 3 games this year? He got hurt after the Baltimore game, right?
Yes.
Game 3.
Yes.
So 18 last year. So 21 games. 21 game sample size for Mac.
21 games to lose.
2 games for Bailey Zappe. We've seen enough. Give it to Bailey.
Here's the thing, and Zappe's obviously playing well, and I saw something in the Cleveland game. Like, he showed me some stuff I hadn't seen, so I have to admit, like, I'm starting to come around too. I wouldn't say I have the fever, but I'm opening the door that he could potentially be better than Mac Jones. But I just think it's so funny to say all last year, we need to see more of Mac Jones. We need to see more of Mac Jones. And then you have a 4th-round pick who is not trailed by more than 4 points in any game yet, and you've already decided he's the answer.
I think it's just, as I said to Felger off the top, it just comes down to winning. I think people, they were 1-2 with Mac. They knew they were going to be 1-3, knew they were going to win that game in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And now they're winning some games. There's some excitement. You see Tyquan Thornton out there.
Don't you think they could have won these games with Mac?
They would have.
Yes,
I think they would have won these games with Mac.
There's no context. There's no context to this argument.
That's all right. But I think the Patriots have the fever, but not for the reasons that you think. They have the fever because, you know what, Mike, you know what they can do? Hey, quarterback room is stronger than ever. They're going to take one of these guys, most likely Bailey, and flip them for a higher draft pick. Okay, so they're excited.
That's first things first. Meanwhile, the guys that cover the team think you're all stupid. Chris Mason, Mass Live, wrote the following. With Zappe fever spreading across New England, hallucinations appear to be a prominent symptom. Mac Jones is still the guy whenever he's healthy enough to return, says Mason. The recency bias surrounding the Patriots quarterback situation is getting out of control. This is still Jones's offense. He's coming off one of the best rookie seasons for a quarterback in NFL history.
That's true.
Led New England to a playoff berth last season, is well ahead of where Zappe is right now, and is revered by his teammates in the locker room. Ooh. He's a captain in his 2nd year for a reason, and that's voted on by his peers. I am surprised the amount of guys that cover the team don't like people reading their stories or talking about their stuff, because Bailey Zappe is good for business. It's good for business. I would not poo-poo it. It's an open competition. I'd have an open mind, but I guess if you think Bailey Zappe deserves a seat at the table, you're stupid.
Where's this coming from? So where's it coming from?
I don't know.
I don't know. Why do you think that there's some defensiveness across the board when it comes to, hey, how could you guys think this? What's wrong with you people? How do you think that Bailey Zappe can compete with Mac Jones?
I think it goes back to, like, I understand what you're saying, Felger, in terms of good for business, but you've been in that role, so if you're covering a team, a lot of it is trying to provide context. And this is what I'm saying. I think these beat writers know the context of what's happening here, which is like, okay, I saw Doug Hyde tweeted this out. He's a national writer for Pro Football Focus. The percentage of play-action passes and screen passes they've run with Bailey Zappe versus Mac Jones has tripled. That's going to help any quarterback. And you're playing 2 bad teams.
Okay, but
so, like, you have to factor in the context of when this is happening,
which is fine. Okay, so if it is clearly Mac Jones, and if you don't see that, you're kind of stupid. How come Bill Belichick just doesn't come out and say it's Mac Jones' job? Someone has to square that. If you're one of these guys that thinks all this Bailey Zappe fever is complete nonsense, an inflated false narrative, then why doesn't Bill just come out and say Mac Jones is the quarterback?
Here's the thing.
You can't have it both ways.
Here's where you can't have it both ways. You can't say Zappe fever is nonsense and then jump all over Volan or anybody who says that there's some sort of friction between.
Exactly.
Because I do think part of Zappe fever is Bill tweaking Mac.
Right.
I do think that's a factor.
So if it's so obvious, then how come the coach just doesn't say it?
The coach doesn't have to say it. Like I told you the other day, the reason Bill won't say, one of the reasons he won't say it is, all right, why should I say when Mac is healthy? when A, Mac's not healthy, and B, Bailey Zappe is focused, he's feeling good, he's confident.
To support his franchise quarterback.
Well, no, we're not supporting him right now.
Kill a quarterback controversy. I thought, what happened to we don't like distractions?
No, I don't want. It's not a quarterback controversy right now because one guy can't play.
It's not.
It becomes a
That guy traveled to Cleveland. We thought he might play,
but he was ruled out of the game. It becomes a controversy when both guys are available to play, and then you make a decision. It's a controversy when Mac Jones is healthy and he says Bailey Zappe's got the job. That's a controversy right now.
That's like saying it's not a fire until the fire department shows up.
No.
The fire
is there a fire
burning
right now?
Yeah, there is. Now it's not an inferno, but there is a fire, and you could put it out now, or you can wait, and you can wait until it becomes a full-blown inferno.
Because what's more important? What's more important, Felger? You tell me. Is it more important to tell Mac Jones what he already knows? He's got a pretty good opinion of himself. Not quite Marcus Smart, but
he's a defending Pro Bowler.
He didn't call himself a defending Pro Bowler.
Yeah. No way to treat a defending Pro Bowler.
He's got a nice opinion of himself. So is it better for you to tell him what he already knows? He's the guy. Or is it better to continue to feed the ego and build a confidence of a fourth-round pick who is starting probably his third game?
All I know is that when it's so obvious, Bill says it. He doesn't play games when it's obvious. He didn't play games with Tom Brady and
I don't think it's a game. It's like
he's playing. Mike, him traveling is kind of a game. He wasn't going to play, but he brought him, and he said the day before he could be cleared at any moment.
Do you know
Bill's playing games with this thing?
Do you know for a fact that Mac Jones made the call to go to Cleveland?
I don't know anything for that. I'm telling you
that makes a difference.
But hold on. But we remember 2008. Like, if Bill didn't want Mac Jones there, he could squash it in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter what Mac Jones wants. You want to go to the game? Sorry, you're not traveling. It's a distraction.
And you know what Mac would say? Why?
He would say why.